Still just wait to join the Google Meet call here. And we'll get the Elmer session going.
Hi, everybody. I'm Russell, K0STR. Okay, thanks, Jerome.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, Jerome, this is Jeff. Sorry I'm late. I'm a little bit out of pocket, so I'll be here, but I won't be able to participate until later on.
Okay, no problem. Absolutely. No worries about that. All right. My name is Daron. Welcome to the Denver Radio Club Elmers session. This is an hour-long meeting. It's a general Q&A about ham radio, s.t.e.m, s.t.e.m. If you have any questions, comments, projects you're working on, let us know. I am sharing my camera, which should show my face as well as the screen. Let me place that here. Sorry about that. And if you have any questions, let us know. You can put them into the chat. You can speak over the microphone if you want. Otherwise, try to mute your microphone if you can. But does anybody have anything you'd like to bring up? Let us know. I can cover what we were discussing on the last Learning Nets. So the Learning Net takes place Wednesdays, except for the third Wednesday, on 14549 repeaters. Last week we were speaking about the status of the 6-meter repeater, and it is back up and running. We're speaking about field day a little bit. Let's see, what else did we talk about here? Contact logging solutions, QSL cards, the ARL Bureau, things like that. How to get your QSL cards. So if you ever want to check any videos on YouTube, if you just search for W0TX on YouTube, you should see a live link there, as well as past Learning Nets, things like that. Let's see what else. Don't hesitate to jump in. This is not a net. You don't need to check in. You don't need to be a ham radio operator. So if anybody has anything, let me know.
This is Russell. We're going to have the stealth antenna lecture tonight too, aren't we?
Yes, that is going to be on the stealth antenna by W6OAV and John. Yep.
Do we need to go anywhere else, or will this just lapse into it?
It'll lapse right into it.
Good. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Let's see what else here. always some good sites to check out. RTL-SDR, if you have any interest in software-defined radio, it's a little USB dongle that you can buy, and USB on one end, and then SMA, a female connector on the other, and you can connect that to just a generic UHF. But it receives pretty wide band, and you can buy these for about $20 on Amazon. So these are good little receivers. So a lot of projects based on that. Somebody's talking about HD radio receiving. The actual the standard is NRC-5, which is actually the HD radio codec that we have here in the United States for the HD radio we have in our vehicles. So if I can type or paste, that is the standard for that. So cloning garage keys, things like this, all sorts of interesting things on there. Interesting program here. Somebody's launched an affordable and easy-to-use simulation software for antenna design. So the CNOS organization here, for about €20 per month for hobbyist use, you can have a connected engineering open source group. So 3 PhDs. So pretty interesting software looking here.
I'm having this is W0BKS. For some reason, my video keeps getting blocked.
Does it? So the video that you're trying to view from me, it's getting blocked?
No, I'm not included in the screen.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's all right, but I don't. I guess I'm listed as a participant, so.
So if you look
You
at
are
the,
not sending any video to us.
That's right.
Okay.
And for some reason, it's I have different information next to my name than anybody else, so I don't know what that is.
The name comes from Google itself. You used to be able to kind of change it, but you have to change it in your Google profile for the name to change. So my actual Google name is this at the moment. If you want to send your video, it's definitely, you don't need to, but if you click, there's the 3 dots, and at the bottom right, at least in Windows, and you click on settings, and on video, you have an option for send resolution, or you want to make sure you have the correct camera selected as well. But you don't have to.
That isn't working.
Is it not? Okay.
My screen is pinned somehow for some reason. I don't know what's going on. So I give up.
Okay. I mean, if you, you should be able to see whoever's sending their video. Hopefully, if you can change layout potentially and select.
I can't because there's a pin there.
Okay, it's hard to say.
It's blocked. So. Yeah, I don't like being left out. How difficult can it be?
Okay, let me see.
You're the expert.
Sure. So, are you using Firefox or Chrome or Internet Explorer? Do you know what type browser you're using?
I'm using Edge.
Edge. Let's see.
That basically is the same code base as Chrome.
Yeah.
Or I guess they let you join again now without being signed in. That's how you can change your name as well, too.
All I know is that my video keeps getting a slash through it and I'm locked out. So that doesn't seem right.
Right, so this is what I'm seeing in Edge.
Well, that's my posted picture. That's not live video. Let's not waste time on it.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I'd like to participate in the meeting like everyone else.
Sure.
I do find it a little annoying.
Sure.
But go on. I don't want to interrupt with the rest of the function. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see here. Okay. Yeah,
I'm
we can
locked
try
out,
to.
that's all.
That's okay. We can try to troubleshoot that at some point after here. That's okay. All right. Let's see what else here. Anybody have any comments, questions, anything you'd like to bring up for us at the moment? Go ahead.
Barbara, would you mind muting though, because you're taking over the screen when you.
Oh. I might as well. I can't do anything.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
You bet.
Cheaper solutions for that, but your address is on there if this ever come up. But yeah, it's kind of interesting news there.
Are there plans for a presentation regarding the new RF energy evaluation stuff that we now have to go through, at least by 2023, if we don't make any changes?
I haven't heard of anything just yet. I remember us speaking about that either recently, and I'll have to find the link for that, but not that I've heard of. Let me see if I can find the link to that here. There was an article on ARL within the last 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month or so, concerning newer updates as a ham radio operator, newer safety measures you may need to take and go through. If anybody has that offhand, let me know. No, not that I've heard. There might not be from our club. There should be. I'd imagine somebody potentially has thought about that. There's a lot more YouTube activity for sure in this hobby nowadays. Let me see if I can find that here. Anyone else, though, in regards to that or anything else? Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, on April 12th, effective May 3rd, FCC has announced the rule change detailed in lengthy report governing RF exposure standards to go in effect. New rules do not change existing RF limits, but do require that stations and all services, including amateur radio, be evaluated against existing limits unless they are exempted. Stations in place, evaluation must be completed by 2023. Anticipated that few parties would have conduct reevaluations of the new rules. Amateur service is no longer categorically excluded from certain aspects of the rules as amended, and licensees can no longer avoid performing an exposure assessment simply because they are transmitting below a given power level. For amateurs, the major difference is the removal of the categorical exclusion for amateur radio, which means that ham stations owners must determine if they either qualify for an exemption or must perform a routine environmental evaluation. What goes into that? Let's see. Have to determine whether any existing facilities. Yeah, RF exposure. I don't know what sort of evaluations are done at minimum, but it looks like there is a 159-page paper here that might detail that. I'm sure somebody like KB6NU, is that who it is? There's a lot of YouTubers out there that are definitely covering some of these more bleeding edge topics. So let me see if I can find that here. Yeah, all these guys, like the Ham Radio Crash Course, Ham Radio Concepts. Yeah, this guy, Ham Radio 2.0. Probably, speak of the devil, here we go. So 7 hours ago, Ham Radio 2.0 did put out a new video on the RFCC safety rules.
Special thanks to the Ham Radio Club.
He did about an hour-long conversation here, looks like, with
like
Rhea
a
Jeremy,
controlled RF environment.
and 2JRL,
Yeah, okay.
ARL Hudson
And you wanna
Division
have a
Director,
robot go and move
talking
along
to
and then,
them about the
inject
new
the
safety
RF
rules.
and then
So
run the measurement.
very, very timely there.
And they do it in kind of like a fluid.
I'll put this link in the chat here. And a couple of other things. So anyone have any questions on that? Y'all have to dig into that, kind of watch that video here a little bit afterwards and see what it's all about. All right. This is Daron, K1DBC. Welcome all. This is the Elmer session. It's a general Q&A, show and tell. If you have any questions, comments about STEM, STEAM, electronics, ham radio, let us know. You don't need to check in. You don't need to be a ham radio operator. Everyone is welcome.
Question? Daron, where can we find previous presentations? I think we've got a YouTube channel, but I haven't been able to find some of the ones that I missed.
Not a problem. Is that John?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. At the moment, the club does have, I would say, an official and an unofficial YouTube webpage. Their official YouTube webpage, if you go to it, it's just there's a link on our YouTube webpage, or our W0TX, but these are from classes from 1992, so it hasn't been updated very frequently. I host the unofficial channel on my personal channel, K1DBC. If you do a search for W0TX on YouTube, you should be able to find my channel. It's essentially youtube.com/WEREGR8. And I just put it in a chat there. Let me redo that. So at the moment, that's where you can find past nets, past meetings. I've been uploading to here for about 6 months or so. So every meeting that we've had, every Elmer session, Learning Net, Sunday Night Net, it should be on there.
Great, very good. Thank you. I was wondering, because I did find the old one and saw it wasn't updated. So I was kind of curious about that.
Yeah, I'm working with the club. Hopefully we can come up with a solution. They were having issues with privacy concerns, I believe, initially. Hopefully, though, in the future, we'll start to be able to put more of our things on the official YouTube webpage and drive more things there.
Great.
What was the last part of that YouTube address after youtube.com?
Yeah, and it is in the chat here, too. Chat with everyone, and then a little chat link. It is Whiskey Edward, Romeo Edward, Golf Romeo 8.
Golf Romeo 8.
That's correct. Like, we are great. No problem. So again, yeah, my channel, there is no monetization. You should see no ads. It's all kind of just for the fun of it. I kind of did this just because I kind of wanted to show people the net control process and how I do net control and get more people into that. But it's turned more into an archival thing. So yeah, I appreciate anybody checking things out. You don't have to subscribe or like anything. Subscribing definitely makes it easier because it's easier to find it again. You don't have to dig through things again. But appreciate everyone joining there as well. Let's see what else here.
Hey, Doran.
Yeah, go ahead.
You were talking a few minutes ago about the new exposure rules. I think it was something from ARRL. They had a link to the Lake Washington Ham Club, and they got exposure calculator, and I use that to do my stuff, and I'm below the limits.
Let me see here.
It's http:// www.lakewashingtonclub.org/resources/rf-exposure- I think it's calculator. It's running off the page.
Sorry, my headset just died. Give me just a minute here. Just another moment. All right, sorry about that. Do I have the right link up here? Like WashingtonClub.com or oh, it's .org.
.org.
Would you be able to put a link in the chat potentially?
Yeah, let me get the full address. I'll be off screen, but I can hear you guys talk. I'm just going to do a Google search.
Wow, I cannot spell. It's like Washington Ham Club. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. RF exposure. Okay. I was able to find it, though. Thank you, though. All right. I put that there in the chat there if anybody's interested in that. It looks like this looks like a newer page here in regards to the in response to that newer guideline. Incorporate 2 tiers of exposure limits based on whether exposure occurs in an occupational or controlled situation, or whether the general population is exposed or exposure is in an uncontrolled situation. In addition to guidelines for evaluating fixed transmitters, the FCC adopted limits for evaluating exposure from mobile and portable devices such as cell phones and personal communications devices. To use the calculator, fill in the form below with your operating power, antenna gain, and operating frequency. Depending on how far above ground the RF source is located, you might want to consider ground reflections, and then click Calculate. So let's...
Okay, I just put in the chat.
Perfect, thank you. So let's say we have a 100-watt antenna, single sideband, yeah, standard information here. 14. I know this is FT8, but it's the only one I know offhand. Do you need DBI? Okay. So I guess with the information that I provided here of a 100-watt antenna on conversational single sideband on 14 megahertz or so, maximum allowed power density is 5.4 milliwatts per centimeter squared. Maximum, so that's for a controlled environment. For an uncontrolled, it'd be quite even less, 0.9 milliwatts per centimeter squared. Not sure if this is really in regards to the newer one, but that is a good good information there. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, but are these numbers something that we're required to submit, or numbers we're just required to have on hand? Like we've done our calculations using online calculators to, have a record for our own use in case the FCC comes to talk to us.
Just have it on hand. You're not required to submit it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought, and that's what I've done. I wasn't sure if they were changing the rules.
But if a neighbor complains, then you might get a visit from the FCC.
Right, I understand.
Just a quick thing here.
Doran, the reason you didn't get any numbers on your webpage is you didn't put in number for antenna gain.
Yeah. So what would a standard antenna gain be, dBi wise?
If that reference to a dipole, it would be 1.
1. Oh, there you go. Okay.
If it's reference to a dipole, I haven't looked.
Okay. That works a little bit better. So that would equal to minimum safe distance of 0.6 feet and 0.8 feet.
Actually put in 2.1. It's dBi.
Okay. So what do these numbers mean? I don't know. That's you would have to. I'm just playing around with the calculator. Really have to dig a little bit more into this for yourself. Okay. I did a Google search for AR/RF exposure, and there's an option under Tools. You can actually change the range, the date and time, or the days. The results you're getting. So I did past month, and so this is kind of the newest stuff here. So I got some PDFs and some facts, frequently asked questions here. Let's see. Yeah. So amateur radio has been subject to requirement to meet RF exposure to virtually all radio transmitters for over 25 years. Older rules had different evaluation requirements and different exemptions. New rules changed this and set a single formula-based criterion for all radio services. As it was kind of discussing. Formulas in the rules take into account transmitter power, antenna gain, and frequency. This is shown in Table 2 later in this document. While it's changed, the underlying substance has not. Exposure rules has long been required of examines for all classes of amateur license, and amateurs continue to be ready to certify. Form 605. Let's see. How complicated is it to it? For most situations, it's not complicated at all. most station operators can use the RF exposure calculator page that is linked on the ARL exposure webpage and use either their transmitter peak envelope power, PEP, and antenna gain as the worst case scenario. They can also do some easy calculations using mode duty factor and on and off duty factor times if needed to find their average transmitter power to demonstrate compliance at closer distances. Real antennas generally do not radiate as much energy towards people as these theoretical maximums. So some amateurs may want to use other methods. Many calculations use these methods are available for free from ARL. You do not need to report your results to the FCC. If not exempted due to power, frequency, and antenna gain, you are required to do an evaluation and make any changes necessary to your stations to ensure compliance. It would be a good idea to keep information about performing the needed evaluation. FCC does not mandate that amateurs keep records. They can require you, but generally they only do so in response to a complaint. And then it shows the table here, how to calculate whether your station operation is exempt. This table 2. You can use the method FCC describes in its rules to determine whether you need to do an evaluation. The table provides the formula used by all radio services to determine whether it's needed. If an area where people might be exposed is at a distance greater than this formula indicates, then that distance is not in the near field of the radio element, and additional evaluation is not required. So for HF purposes, 1.3 megahertz to 30 megahertz, they are wanting a threshold ERP of 3450. Affected radiated power. Something squared. So, yeah, more information on this. It looks like on arl.com/RF exposure. Hopefully they have a link to this here. PDF, I'd hope. Anybody though, yeah, here we go, updated information here. Anyone else on that or anything else? Let us know. All right. My name is Daron, call sign K1DBC. You don't need to be a ham radio operator. You don't need to check in. You don't need to be a ham radio operator at all. This is just a general Q&A. If you have any comments, questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Chat over the air if you want, over the microphone. Let us know. All right, we have about 30 minutes left. I can try to keep bringing things up. Don't hesitate to jump in at any given time.
Doran?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did anyone bring up the issue about HOAs, like from last month? I shared with you that link, what that one lady did down in Florida.
Let me bring that up here. Very similar to, I think, the topic we're going to be having this evening. Where did it go here? Cedric had sent me a link to this YouTube video of an attic-based antenna, I think, for HOA covenant-controlled restrictions. We spoke about a specific type of antenna the last time. I forget what kind that was, but it was attic-based.
This, I think, is a rotatable dipole rotatable trap dipole, and they just cut off the ends and added the equivalent length of wire to get the distance the length that you needed.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so another neat option here. I know, there was somebody on the last Elmer session that had somebody help them similarly build, an attic-based antenna like this. Very, very cool. Yeah, if anybody has any questions in regards to HOAs, yeah, let us know. Covenant controlled. One of the the topic tonight is going to be stealth attic antennas. So that's definitely should answer some of that. So yeah, I'll put this link here in the chat here. All right. What else here? I'm going to grab some water. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. What else?
Question.
Please.
A quarter wave vertical. Is there any gain with that? Because I saw something where it said about a 2.2 dB gain, so that's what I use for my calculations. I don't know if it's correct or not.
Good question. Quarter wave dipole, is there any gain to that? Anybody have any input on that?
There's gain, and 2.2 would actually be the same as a dipole over isotropic. But the gain is also impacted by the ground radial system of the vertical. I mean, if you put it over a nice saltwater marsh, it's just great.
Yeah.
But if you have lousy radial system, then you have ground losses, which will reduce the effective amount of power coming out of your antenna, because you'll have ohmic losses.
Well, I'm in a second floor apartment. I purchased a piece of 1/4 inch thick aluminum, 24 inches on the side, and that's my ground plane, and I got about 6 radios attached to that. I want to do more, but that's what I got right now. I have been making some contacts.
I think you would be more than safe using a 2.2 dB gain.
Okay.
I mean, I think you're probably overstating what you actually get.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
All right, thanks there, guys. Yeah, I just need to delve in and really just understand antennas and some of these basic engineering concepts and RF engineering things, because yeah, it definitely help.
If I might make a small comment.
Please.
Go ahead.
W6NBC here. I thank you for asking me to join your group. I got in a little late. What Russell said I think was correct. If you put a quarter wave dipole over a perfect ground plane, it's pretty much the equivalent of a vertical half wave. So 2.1 dB is pretty normal.
Okay.
Very neat. Thanks there, John. All right. Anybody else so far? We have about 20 minutes left in the Elmer session here before we got the meeting going on. Any comments, questions, anything you got going on? Kit building, any electronics, ham radio stuff, anything you want to bring up, let us know.
What's the latest update on for field day? You sent out that survey. I said I'm willing to do wherever you need me. This would be a first for me.
That is going to be addressed just before the meeting starts around 7 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There is some updates. It's good updates. Field day is going to be happening, so yeah, more news to come here though. Let me see if I can bring that up here. Nothing spoiling here or anything. Just the response is great. Got 42 responses. Appreciate everyone responding to that. Plenty of people are going to be showing up. Hopefully, both days here. A lot of camping, hopefully, and a lot of operations, and plenty of volunteer response. So really, really do appreciate that. So, yeah. So yeah, very, very cool. Appreciate everyone on that. All right. Anyone else? Any other comments, questions, anything else you want to bring up for the net? Please call now, or not the net, for just the meeting here.
Question.
Please. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, Russell. K0STR. Can anybody recommend just a single volume book that will get me out of the dark about antennas? I am so lost about antennas. I'm just starting to dabble, to investigate HF, and I'm just trying to figure out what would be a good source of information for antenna.
If you don't mind having a book the size of a Sears catalog, what I would suggest, though, actually it's a very good choice, provided you don't think you're going to sit there and start at the beginning and read through it all in one sitting. It's more of a reference, and that truly is the ARRL Antenna Handbook. And it's broken into sections, so there's maybe 3 chapters or 4 chapters on HF antennas that talks about it. The first 3 or 4 chapters or 5 chapters are on antenna fundamentals, but you can dip into them. You do not have to. You don't have to read the whole miserable thing. So if you see the book, it'll scare the heck out of you. He's going to bring it up in just a second.
Yeah, I saw him reaching for it.
I got one right here. It's a few years old.
They do put it out as a 4-volume set, which is easier to hold in bed.
I bought that last year.
But this is the radio antenna handbook?
No.
I'm sorry.
It's the ARRL Antenna Handbook.
ARRL Antenna Handbook. Okay.
And all it talks about is antennas. And you can ignore major chunks of it if you aren't really all that excited about VHF slot antennas or phased arrays or anything like that. It's written in such a way you can dip in and get what you need and leave the rest of it alone for what you're interested in at that moment.
I think that's what I'm looking for, because I really need to understand the fundamentals of antenna.
Comment? May I make? Yeah, this W6NBC again here. As most of you know, I'm a fairly common writer on antenna and antennas on QST. And a little advice, I entirely agree with what Tom said about the handbook. I have probably on my library, and I'm looking at it right over there, just about every one of the known Bibles, pardon the term, on antennas. Jancic and Terman and so forth. And they're all great books. They really are. But if you want readability, and if you don't want to find that the first chapter of the book, the first thing they show you is a definite integral, then I recommend the ARRL handbook. Frank, that's where I basically started learning. And they, particularly some of the older ones, pick up an older one back in the 70s and 80s. They were quite good back then. But he's right. It's the antenna handbook, not the general handbook.
Okay. I had to make a major investment in a law library when I became a lawyer, and I was hoping to avoid having to do that again. So I will look for the antenna handbook separately, and I'll jump there and see what I can find. But thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Comment here. Hi, this is Dave, WJ0Z Omaha. And Russell, yeah, I concur with the other opinions on the ARRL antenna book. I've got a newer one, but I also have one from back in the days when it was about a half an inch thick, and maybe 5 by 7 in size. Nice thing about antenna books, the physics never changes. They're always good to go. So even if you pick up an older one, maybe at a Hamfest or something.
Yeah, I will look for one of those, and I'll even search around on eBay, see what I can find on eBay.
Yeah. They don't have to be brand new to be good.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
Yep, you're welcome, Russ.
You'll also find some interesting points that in the bulleted sections, or the pull-out, not pull-out quotes, but the box quotes that they have. Things like, an antenna does not need to be resonant to be an effective radiator. Now, when you pull that out, you can find out how many hands you have that will argue with you if you actually say that, because that's something that's very commonly thought. The way I like to put it is, if you put 20 hams in a room and you ask them what is the best antenna, you'll end up with 26 answers and a fist fight.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the Hamfests and online, you can probably find older publications, which still definitely apply. So very, very cool conversation here. Okay, we have about 15 minutes left here in the Elmers session. Does anybody have any comments, questions? Or go ahead.
Here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so yesterday I got an email from the ARRL about a digital edition for the antenna book. 24th edition. Now this does not say, well, they just refer to it as the ARRL antenna book for radio communications, 24th edition, and it's digital. So I guess I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing here, but I just thought
it is the same thing.
All right, well,
just a giant PDF.
Yeah, so there you go.
It's much smaller, but you can't put your thumb in the pages to hold your place.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
and
Can't put notes in the columns.
It's $30. Apparently, retail normally $50, and the code you use for the discount is in capital letters, Adam Baker, Delta Delta. And you can get it for Windows or Mac/Linux.
They're very cool. Thank you.
It is kind of handy to have. I think you actually get a copy of it when you buy the hardcover, or not hardcover, but printed version. They give you a link that's good for a one-time shot, because in addition to that book, there's a huge amount of downloadable resources that come along with it. And so you go to that link, and as they say, it's good for one time. You can go do it, and you better make a backup copy because you aren't going to get it again. But I believe you get a digital version of the book that way, plus all this other resource material, like Easy Neck, if you want to play around with a very limited antenna simulator, comes with that. And former articles in QST that are of interest, but not necessarily enough to make it to the book this time. And hopefully it's not John's.
Comment on Easy Neck, if I may.
Go for it.
As again, as I say, W6NBC here. As many of you know, I'm my big love in ham radio is antenna theory, and I like to try to do it on a simple to understand basis. I highly recommend for the person who really wants to know antennas, as Tom was saying, get yourself a copy of EasyNet. You can get the free one, which is not very useful, but at least it runs like the other one. But buy yourself one of the slightly better versions of it, which has a modest price tag. And I have most of what I know about antennas, I have learned by modeling antennas in EasyNet. It is a wonderful teacher.
All right, perfect. Thanks there for the follow-up on there. For both of those, the discount on the publication there, as well as that software there, yeah, easynec.com. Software we have definitely spoken about in the past for antenna design. Yeah, very, very cool.
John, in your experience, have you found it worthwhile to go to the one that goes to version 6, which uses what, NEC 4.0?
Oh, absolutely. If you are really serious about antenna design, most of what is in the Pro 4 version of EasyNet, the average ham probably doesn't need. The Plus V version, which I think is about $60, is more than adequate for some pretty heavy duty. I used it for years until I decided to finally plunk down the big bucks and buy the Pro 4. Pro 4 has some interesting stuff in it, such as being able to model buried radials. There's an interesting concept, and it does a good job of it. But highly recommend EasyNet. From its first lowest priced purchased version, which is where I'd start. The free version isn't good enough, and then up to the second purchased version, and get in there and model some antennas. Every antenna you run into, try to build yourself a model of it, and you'll suddenly say, "Wow, I understand something I never understood before." And over a period of time, antennas will start to become clear.
It is, however, a gateway drug, and you'll end up wanting to actually know Maxwell's 6 equations. And so you should be very careful, I think, right?
Yeah, you bet.
I just put something in the chat. There's also another one that I just started playing with was 4NEC 2. That's number 4, and
it's good.
Number 2.
4NEC 2 is good.
Yeah, it's especially for starting out. I think it's also we were talking about RF exposure. If you want to really dig into it, another ARRL book, RF exposure and you.
I use both EasyNet and 4NEC 2. 4NEC 2 has the advantage that it does much more graphically interesting displays. Where, but I'm just so used to EasyNet, that's what I do most of my thinking in.
There, yeah. At the beginning of the learning or the Elmer session here, we also talking about this other piece of software, CNOS. It's coming out of the Connected Engineering open source group. They have a antenna design piece of software. I think it's $20 or $25 a month for hobbyist use, and another interesting application there. Microstep antenna, planar antennas, slot antennas, dipoles, monopoles, helical, horn. A lot of another interesting product here. I'll put in the chat.
EasyNet is nice, and you don't have to pay a monthly fee. It's just a one-time fee.
Yeah, absolutely. Very neat. We have about 5 minutes left here. Does anybody have any other things they'd like to bring up for the Elmer session? Go ahead.
What is the one-time fee for EasyNet, may I ask?
The first paid version, I think, is around $35. Then there's another one up around $65. Both I've come through all of them and have used all of them successfully. And only recently, because of some of the work I was doing with an antenna company, they sponsored me in obtaining the Pro 4 version, which is about a $500 program. I wouldn't think about it unless you are way into it already.
Well, I think I fall in the $35 category. Thank you very much, John.
Yeah, do start there. And just start modeling some basic antennas, dipoles, inverted Vs, 2 and 3 element Yankees, and vary everything. Change the lengths, change the frequency, change the length of the boom, all that kind of stuff. And ask yourself, what happened? That's what's so wonderful about it. These are dynamic programs that you can adjust things without climbing a tower.
Thank you again.
Very neat. Very, very neat. All right. Anything else? Another few minutes here before we start to wrap things up.
I have a question for John.
Go ahead.
John, after I'm done with my presentation, do you want me to turn over to you so that you can narrate your video, or do you want to narrate it and then I'll run the video? Your mic's off, John.
Sorry about that. Just play it by ear. If you'd like me to comment, I'll comment. If not, I'll stay with you. I was looking at the thing just this afternoon. It's an interesting gadget.
Okay, well, what I'll do is I'll turn the video over to you, and then when you're ready, I'll go ahead and play it since I have it here ready to go. Is that okay?
That's just fine.
Okay, well, hopefully it'll work out okay.
Oh,
Thank you,
Bill.
John.
Hey, Bill.
Yes. Yes.
Dave from Omaha.
What are you doing in here? Man, they let anybody in here.
Yeah, I know.
Well, good.
Yeah, I had to travel a long ways to get here, too.
Are you in town?
Say again?
Are you here in town?
No, I'm in Omaha.
Talk on Skype later on in the week?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I could probably do Skype or something. Oh.
Well, yeah, send me an email, w60av@arl.net.
Okay.
Let me know what your schedule is. We can get caught up.
Yeah, I got a lot of catching up to do.
I don't want to put everybody to sleep here with you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
All right. I'm just scrolling through this webpage, reddit.com/r/amateur radio. Just looking at some of the photos of people's antennas and installs. So that's what I'm looking through here. Anyone else? Any other questions, comments, anything else? We have just a couple minutes here.
Hi, it's Bill, W0TX. Just mentioned that 6 meters is pretty wide open to the southwest right now. Just worked about 10 stations in a row from Arizona.
All right, very, very cool. Yeah, 6 meters. Yeah, just around 50 megahertz or so, just outside of the HF band, just on the edge there of the... yeah, just 50 megahertz. Yeah, everyone has access to that. Novice, extra amateur, general, and technician. 50.1 to 54. Both data and phone and image.
You might just let the folks here know what kind of setup you have. Vertical polarization, upper sideband, blah, blah, blah.
Was that for me, Bill?
Please.
Correct. You might let everybody know how you do it.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty lucky. I have a 7-element beam at about 90 feet. But the band is quite open right now. You could probably be working these stations with a dipole at this point.
And you're doing that on sideband with horizontal polarization, or?
Actually, I'm on FT8, but based on the signal strength that I'm seeing, there's probably some sideband activity also at 50.125.
Yeah, just looking at
Hey,
the. Or go ahead.
Excuse me for interrupting, but this is Bill again. I went back to that email on that discounted price for that antenna book, and the order must be placed by the end of today if somebody wanted to take advantage of that special deal.
Perfect. Thanks for letting us know on that.
Looks like it's 1900, Doro.
Yep. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us here on the Elmer session. Again, more info on the W0TX.org webpage. If you go to the net listing, we're basically the same thing as the Learning Net. So we have a groups.io and a YouTube page you can find on there. So join us on the Wednesdays on the air every Wednesday except for the third Wednesday. Thanks again for joining us. I'll go ahead and throw it over to Jeff or our club president. Everyone take care.
Jerry, your mic's open, but we're not hearing you.